Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to go over a changelog, which was released today. This might be the longest we've gone without a changelog for a long time in War Thunder, at least a few years it feels like, or at least before any real piece of news has come out. The last changelog was on the 25th of April. So last month, basically. And just to give you an idea of how often these type of changelogs happen, basically in April itself, we had, well, maybe about 13 or 14 of them, which were around the place. And in May so far, we've only had one. So on the 15th of May, they've released quite a large set of bug fixes and also changes to the game. So let's go through them and see what has been changed in Update 2.35.1.83. First of all, with aircraft, the EC665 TAG UHT, the HAP, and also the HAD, there was a bug where the center of the aiming sight displayed on the MFD in the cockpit was incorrectly positioned above the target, and that has been fixed. There's also, for the Wing Long 1, the AKD-10 missile has been added as an optional weapon, so if you want to use that drone more effectively, you are able to. And for ground vehicles, they've done a ton of changes, starting with the Object 292, which is always worrying when you hear that. The Leopard 2K and also the PT-16 T14 mod. I'm kind of surprised that PT-16 hasn't gone up in BR. It is an insanely powerful vehicle right now. If you haven't given it a go, I highly recommend it if you have it. It's the event vehicle Leopard 2 with the autoloader, which is very nice. There was a bug that caused the fuel tanks to absorb all shell fragments instead of only the ones in the wide spalling cone, and that has been fixed. So now, the 292 is less survivable. The 2K and the PT-16 are also less survivable. They actually had an artificial buff that made them too strong. So there you go, they've fixed it. Stuff like that is really annoying when it happens, but luckily now it should be sorted. The 2Ks themselves have always been way more survivable than they'd ever should have been, so yeah, it's nice to see some changes like this. The TCM-20, there was a bug on the 64-bit client. An incorrect amount of belts could have been taken into the battle. That's been fixed. For example, taking 10 belts of any type into the battle caused 12 to be taken instead, which is one of the weirdest bugs. Basically, just the game straight up lying to you about what you were taking. I mean, it doesn't really make a huge difference, especially the TCM-20 doesn't exactly have a lineup that you can run with it, and also more ammo is better for an AA like that, so it's one of those which is a nice bug fix, but it doesn't really change too much. It's just a very odd one. And then the BTR-80A, there was a bug that caused the magnification to decrease when activating zoom in the gun sight. That's been fixed too, which is nice. The Panzer S1, there was a bug that caused the drown countdown to display when driving in shallow water. That's been fixed. Obviously, the driver was getting a little bit worried. It's still crazy to me that the Panzer is at 11.7, and then stuff like the Flarakrad is also at 11.7. There's some really odd decompression at high BRs nowadays, especially when it comes to MBTs, like if you have a look at the Leopard MBTs. But hopefully in the next few updates that's solved, especially when they bring in this new system of aircraft having different BRs based on the game modes. You know, between like air and ground. The Shigler, or the ZSU-23-4M4, the incorrect speed value of the 9M39 missile stat card has been corrected, which is nice. I have a problem with the Shigler, and it's the same problem I have with the Chinese, I think it's the PGZ-09, which has the IR missiles too. The missiles themselves are okay. Sometimes they overcorrect a ridiculous amount, but when you launch them, there is a tendency for the missile to try and hug the ground for the first, I don't know, like maybe 50 to 100 meters. So if you're in an area which has any type of kind of buildings or any type of trees or anything like that, it will fire and then it will like do the 50 to 100 meters of hugging the ground and then go upwards. And by that point, it's ran into a building. It's really annoying, and I wish it didn't do that. But yeah, it's just one of those which sucks. The Saddam 25 Mistral, the missing maximum speed value in the Mistral missile stat card has been fixed, so you can actually see it now. The WZ-305, the mass of explosives and the high explosive shell has been increased from 153 to 159. Not really a huge difference for that, because the WZ-305 use the HEVT and you use the AP. So I suppose it's nice that that's a little buff there for it, but it doesn't really need it because, you know, you don't really use that round. The ZTZ-88A and B, the erroneously present commander fire control mode has been removed from the commander's site. Well, that's kind of rude, and I'm guessing that's because they don't have commander fire control. So yeah, kind of a little nerf there, but not a huge one. Like I enjoyed the ZTZ-88s actually recently. I thought they were really fun to play. And I was kind of surprised because they're in kind of a little dodgy position in terms of being, you know, just before the more modern MBTs and just after the kind of older MBTs. They're in a weird doldrums area, but they actually worked really well, which was super fun. Then we have the Tor M1. There was a bug that caused the search radar to be unable to track AGM-65 missiles, and that's been fixed. So you just get donked by a Maverick that you couldn't see. And that's unfortunately the same as a lot of vehicles. I heard from a ton of people that they think the Tor M1 was like the best AA at top tier, and maybe it is, but when I play top tier, I never see one. I have not seen, I've seen one in the whole time I've played top tier. And that was when one of my mates, Bryce, was playing it, and he was kind of demonstrating the mechanics of it when it first came out. It is absolutely crazy to me, and maybe we'll see more. Who knows? Maybe I'll start venturing into the top tiers of China. The swing fire has been buffed. Let's go. The sight magnification has been changed from variable 4 to 8 to fixed times 10. So there you go. Less variability, but more zoom. And since this thing wants to be away from the battlefield to fire, that's quite nice to see. The ZVD-04A, the lack of stabilization for the 100mm gun when using the commander sight has been fixed. I started using that vehicle, but then the air event came along. So I kind of have taken a bit of a step back. Overall, it was quite fun to start spading, and I'm sure it'll be great to spade. I'm looking forward to it. The mobility of it's quite nice, the thermals are good, and it's also got a punchy gun, which is quite nice. The Leopard 2K, there was a bug causing pressure damage to the crew when the ammunition for the 20mm automatic cannon located outside of the fighting compartment was hit. That's been fixed, so you can't just shoot the 20mm and it dies anymore. And then the Leopard 2K and the PT-16 T-14 again, a bug with missing fragments when penetrating through armor between the combat and engine compartments has been fixed too. So once again, you would literally pen these things and do no damage. And as a person who was playing around those BRs a lot, I was noticing it a lot, especially with that 2K. It would just absorb damage, and you just wouldn't do anything, and it would just stare at you and hammer time you. It was so annoying to happen. So I'm glad that's fixed, because there was multiple times using multiple different vehicles with very good penetration where I'd shoot parts of it and nothing would happen. It would show that it penetrated and then just did nothing after all. And there was a lot of people saying, oh, well, you just hit the angle and it ricocheted, or, you know, oh, well, that shouldn't have done anything anyway. And unfortunately, it should have. Those vehicles had a ton of bugs with them and it just sucked. So in naval vessels, the HMS Gay Archer and the Arrow, the mechanic that stops the crew from being able to repair due to there not being enough crew left has been removed. That's surprising. Is it just because they don't have enough crew and they don't want to make it so, you know, once you get shot you can never repair? Because that's one of the problems with a lot of those coastal vehicles. They don't have, like, any crew. So the moment you take damage, you can't technically repair based on the percentage change, right? So I'm guessing that's what's happened here, but overall I think it's quite nice. You know, it means that you can survive on very low amounts of crew, and vehicles like that kind of need it because they do get hit very, very hard. Then we have the interface. In the messages with battle results, the detailed information area about earnings and research now displays information about vehicles that were used but did not earn any SL and RP in the battle. That's nice. More information is power. They've done some really good stuff with the battle results, and it is so much better than it was previously. The amount of information that is there is absolutely fantastic. In the messages with battle results, a bug that caused information about the rewards for awards received after leaving the battle to appear in the other awards section along with all the other all the awards of the same type has been fixed. So the rewards are in the right place now. That was really hard to read. In the messages with battle results, an uninformative value indicating the time of receiving this reward has been removed from the activity time section. And also in the messages with battle results, the amount of played time is now shown in the short version of the time played section instead of the amount of vehicles used in battle. And there was also a bug that caused the crew selection window to still open when selecting the order select a crew later after the purchase option appeared directly after a battle had finished, and that's been fixed. I suppose they added this new system to make it so you didn't have to click that one click after buying a vehicle. Instead, you can just like buy it and then leave it there. And fair enough, but I don't really see it as a huge necessity, but it's one of those things which makes the experience slightly better, but in a very, very minor way. And that's okay. And then the last one, which is probably the biggest one, the Eagle's Eye battle task has been removed from the list of possible tasks. Players with this task already active can continue completing it. So if you don't know what Eagle's Eye is, it's criticals. Critical hits in aircraft. It was either a standard daily or a special. And the special, I think, was like 24 crits or 30 crits. And this used to be one of those which actually wasn't that hard to do, because you could actually do it on player planes, or you could do it on AI planes. And I believe even in certain circumstances with the kind of realistic models of some of the ground targets, like the BTRs, for example, you were able to do it on ground vehicles too, which was really cool. The problem is they added the severe damage mechanic. And the severe damage mechanic, whenever you are able to do severe damage to a vehicle, you don't get a crit on it. And so therefore, a lot of the times when you technically do crit a vehicle, it wasn't counting as a crit because it was counting as a severe damage. So, for example, yesterday, I needed 11 crits for my second daily, or for the Eagle's Eye, for the Battle Pass, and I was playing for 6 or 7 hours to do the Mark of Distinction, and also sped out the Yak 9P, and, start playing the MiG-15 BIS, and what ended up happening was it took me ages to be able to get the crits, because most of the times when I was shooting people, I was either destroying them or getting the severe damage hit, and that meant that there was no crit to be had. And therefore, it kind of sucks. It would have been nice with the Eagle's Eye if all they did was add the severe damage to it as well, and maybe they're going to do that in the future. Maybe they're going to change up some dailies and also change up how they're going to set it up. Who knows? It would be cool to see some. We've talked about it in the past, and I'll probably talk about some ideas in the future about trying to move around the dailies and try different things. It'll be cool to see. Anyway, though, that is the end of the changelog. It's been a long time since we've had one. It's been nice to see some changes in the game. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Tullio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pieman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Alan Hacker, Ozzy Panzer, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Cam Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.